I thrive on the misery of my friends, is do not worry about the things that you have no control over. The world is completely full of lazy, wimpy idiots. Is to not be a pushover. Be humble and be willing to admit that you don't know everything. And what matters the most is doing the right thing, even when no one's watching. Hey friends, welcome back. I am Jason, and today is my birthday. I'll wait while you guys sing. I turned 40 years old today. It's a big 4-0. And so I figured what I would do is I would tinker on my motorcycles, I would spend time with my family, and just relax. Seems like a good day, right? And of course I gotta take you guys along with me. That would be rude to exclude you from my birthday celebration. I'm taking some of the good parts off of here and I'm putting it over on the new bike. Over on Rocky, as I'm calling her. Raquel, but for short, we're gonna call her Rocky. Maybe what we do in today's video is I'd share some words of wisdom. Maybe perhaps some things that I've learned in my 40 years that have made a difference in my life, that have made me stronger, experiences perhaps that have made me a better person. And then while I tinker a bit, we'll talk about those things. So here's a USB charging port here that connects to the battery right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rob this off of here, and I'm going to put that on the new motorcycle so I can charge my GPS or my phone or whatever that I'm using. All right, first and foremost, I would say probably the most important lesson that I've learned in my life, in my short 40 years, is that the world is completely full of lazy, wimpy idiots. It's chock full of lazy, wimpy idiots. And your only job if you are going to be successful in this world is to not be one of them. Don't be one of the lazy, wimpy idiots. I was watching this documentary the other day. At least I was trying to watch it. And it was this guy, I forget what his name is, but it doesn't really matter. He was in Africa and he was catching this man-eater crocodile, and he was basically saying the thing was 17 feet long and 2 tons. And very obviously, it was not even close to that. It was like, it was a big crocodile. It was maybe 12 feet long and maybe 800 pounds, something like that. Less than 1,000 probably. So huge exaggeration. And I thought to myself, who believes this crap? And I was talking to a buddy about it, and he was like, no, man, like, we are the exception. Most of the world believes that nonsense. They just take it in for what it is and accept it as truth. And I thought, really? Like, okay, there's no way people are that dumb, but apparently, a lot of people are. And I guess, I know this to be a fact because when you just talk to normal, average, regular people, they believe in, the WWF wrestling and stuff like that. And by all means, I'm not saying I'm some genius or, I've got all of life figured out and I'm perfect in every way. Far from it. That is not even close. And, I've been duped and fooled before. And, there's possibly a lot of things probably that I believe currently that are not true. But I think the difference is between us, you guys, us watching, and the rest of the world is that we think We actually use our brains to critically think, and we process information that comes in, and we don't just take it, we don't accept it as face value. We take in that information and we make calculated, educated guesses on what actually might be true. And the older that I get, the older that I get, the less and less that I believe. And anything that I see on TV, the news, the internet, I almost automatically believe it to not be true, especially if it involves any kind of politics or anything like that. It's not true. That's not what actually happened. Shush, zip it. It's not what actually happened. That's not the truth. And I think that that's probably the smartest way to go about it. Maybe it's a little bit, some people say maybe cynical way of going about it, but I think it's the most intelligent way to go about it. I love how this bike is set up. It's so simple. Very few electronics. I mean, if you take a look at that KTM over there, there's a whole lot more business going on in there. This has got very few wires, very few fuses, no computers, none of that stuff to get in the way of my freedom. It's got a battery and a couple fuses right there, and that's pretty much it. So I've got to figure out how to get those wires connected to my positive negative terminals right there, or somehow, some way connect it, and then run it all the way back up to the handlebars somewhere close to here where I can connect it to my device. Want to get a workout in? Gonna work out with me? Huh?
I do my own little workout almost every
Do you want to
day.
do a tough workout with me? On my 40th, it's going to be 40 burpees,
No.
run 400 meters.
No.
40 wall balls, run 400 meters.
No.
40, what was the next exercise? There's four exercises with a 400 meter run in between each one. Are you in? Come on.
No.
Come on. Are you getting soft on me? You getting soft on me?
No.
My wonderful boy brought me coffee this morning and said happy birthday to me. What a great gift. I want you to work out with me on my birthday. I want to suffer with you.
No.
I want to suffer together.
No.
That's what I want. I want misery and suffering.
You're getting something else.
Disconnect those. That's a 10. So another really big one that I've learned in my 40 years is to not be a pushover. Because if you let them, people would take advantage of you being a nice guy. I've been accused of being a nice guy, and I am a nice guy. I want to believe that people are good. And I want to do more for other people than I do for myself. And I want to be kind and generous, and I want to give freely. Because I truly believe that the more you give, the more that you will receive. I think God rewards us, not in the same way that a boss pays you. You work 8 hours, you get paid for 8 hours with a boss. And that's not the way it works with God. He rewards us in a much, much different way. And sometimes you could put in 1 hour of effort to help somebody else, and you could be rewarded for 50. So I think that it's a pretty incredible thing, and I've seen that throughout my life. I've seen being generous and being kind and giving freely really pays off. And I have been so blessed. I have all of this playground to play in, and I've got this wonderful house, and I've got a beautiful family, and I've got a motorcycle to play with here, and I've been so tremendously blessed. And I'm very grateful for what I've been given in my life. And I attribute that almost all, I work hard, don't get me wrong, I've put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, and I've worked really hard, but I attribute that to being generous. And the gifts that I've been given is only because of the generosity that I've given away. And I'm going to continue to do that. I'm continue to be more free giving, but with that, you've got to be careful. You've got to be careful to not to not let people take advantage of you. And if it does happen, here's another caveat to that. If it does happen, if you find out that you've been generous and someone has taken advantage of your generosity perhaps, or they've stolen from you or lied to you or whatever, don't let it eat you up, because you've still done the right thing. It's like the guy begging for the change on the side of the road. And then you find out later that he's making $100,000 a year, more than you. and you're pissed off about it because you gave him the $5 or whatever. Don't be pissed off about that, because you still did the right thing. You can't control what other people do around you. You can't force people to make the right decisions and do the right things. All you can control is yourself. And what matters the most is doing the right thing, even when no one's watching, when no one will find out, when no one's there but you still do the right thing. But be careful to not let people take advantage of you and push you around at the same time. If you're too nice, you're too kind, and you let people walk all over you, that's not good either. And I've definitely been guilty of that in the past, and I probably will be in the future too, because I am a nice guy. But you got to stand up for what's right. You got to stand up for what you believe in. You got to speak the truth as much as you possibly can, to whatever extent knowledge that you know what the truth is, what you truly believe to be the truth. Stand up for that stuff and don't be a pushover. This guy is gonna go like this. Huge shout out to Southern Honda Power Sports up in Chattanooga. If you guys ever need help with any kind of moto, side-by-sides, ATVs, whatever, make sure you call them first, because they are super helpful, really, really knowledgeable. And they were very helpful in hooking me up with this. They are super helpful, very, very knowledgeable, and can definitely help you out. So I'm on a mission to create the ultimate apocalypse motorcycle right here. And having a good means of navigation, technically, after the SHTF, maybe the GPSs are no longer a thing, and it won't be very helpful. But in the meantime, the GPS is really, really helpful, because when I'm out riding, I try to stay off the main roads, I stay off the highways, and it's really helpful to have a GPS. I typically use just my phone, and I'll use Gaia, Gaia GPS, and that will guide me on the backcountry roads and little dirt roads and stuff like that are sometimes difficult to find if you aren't looking at a map. I'm all about just heading out and exploring and going wherever the wind might take me. But it is nice to avoid the bigger roads whenever possible. So that's what I'm doing there. So yeah, again, Southern Honda Power Sports, super big thank you. And we will continue to support them with this motorcycle build and all the adventures that I'm going to be taking on, and all the training missions and all that stuff, because this motorcycle is going to allow me to get to some remote places where I can do some really, really fun stuff. I was able to pull this rubber gaskety waterproofness deal here out, and I can slip my wire right between these two, and I think that's going to work perfect, and I don't have to cut anything, and that should still be fairly watertight. I mean, it doesn't have to be waterproof, it just needs to be pretty water resistant, so rain obviously, and then if I do any water crossings, water that splashes up in there doesn't just flood the battery and fuses and stuff. That's not gonna go back in there. All right, next big life lesson that I've learned in my 40 years is be humble and be willing to admit that you don't know everything. Be willing to learn from somebody that knows more than you. Don't be that guy. I've been guilty of it too. We've all been guilty of it. Don't be that guy that says, oh yeah, I totally know. Don't raise your hand because you don't want someone to know that you don't know how to do something. And I totally know how to do it, and I'm way more confident than I actually am. And then you end up screwing something up or hurting yourself or somebody else. Be willing to take in knowledge and information from someone that is wiser than you in a certain area. And even if they're younger than you, be willing to learn from someone that is younger than you and whatever aspect it is. If someone's more knowledgeable on this motorcycle than I am, I'm not going to be too afraid to seek out their knowledge and seek out their opinions on what I should do with it, because that would be stupid. So I've crammed all this back in there. I've got my, which one is it? I've got this wire right here with its own fuse that's going to hook up to my battery terminals. and then a route up this way, and then I'll eventually get it connected somehow. Looks good. That's pretty dang tight. That should work just fine. Let's just make sure we got enough wire for the job. Oh, it's perfect. Like that. And there we go. That wasn't so bad. I'm just gonna follow this main wiring harness up, I think, to get me up here past the fuel tank. There we go. A few little zip ties. I want to try to use the shortest charging cord possible. So I'm going to hook it right here. That way my phone or my GPS or whatever I have mounted right here will only have this short little like 4-inch section. And I'm going to connect it to these wires because that moves the least. There's almost no movement there. My OCD requires that the zip ties are facing the same direction. I can't just have them coming all out in random places. I can't allow that. Come on, get serious. Serious about your life. Next life lesson is do not worry about the things that you have no control over. If there's nothing you can do about it, let it go and focus on what's important in your life. Can I control what's going on in Washington right now? Absolutely not. Can I control what's happening 5 states over? Absolutely no. Can I have any control on what's happening in Russia or Ukraine? No. Why am I going to worry about that? I'm going to worry about what's important to me, what's close to me, and things that I can have an actual physical effect on in my life. I'm going to worry about the people in my life, the people that I see on a daily basis. You guys watching my videos, that's what I'm concerned about. I'm not worried about it, but that's what I'm putting my energy into, and I'm not stressing. Some people spend their lives glued to the TV or their phones, freaked out, stressed out about stuff that they have zero control over, and it's killing you. Let it go. I think that looks pretty sweet. And hook it all back up to the battery and see if it works. Hooked up. I always like to try to get the wires to run in the same routes as the other wires or cables or something to give it, if you can make something look stock, so custom that it looks stock. That's my preference. Now we just pull the slack out right here. Trying to route the wires through right there, that small little hole right there. That's where I want it to go. Oh, we might have it. We might have it. Now we'll just fish it through there. That was my mom driving by. She yelled happy birthday out the window. I'm so lucky. My parents are my neighbors. It's fantastic. It's very, very convenient having family this close. When I lived in California, I was in California for 8 years. When I was out there, we didn't have anybody. We didn't have anybody that side of the Mississippi. So when we needed something, we needed help, we were self-reliant for the most part because we didn't have that same network of friends that we do now. Because I wasn't as diligent about building that network of friends, building that community. We had friends, obviously, and if I called somebody, they'd come help me out. But we were, for the most part, we were kind of on our own, and it was, a stressful, hard time, a building time in our lives where we learned a lot, we made a lot of mistakes. That's where all of our kids were born. Bought my first house out there. A lot of things happened in that 8-year period in California. It was a big deal, moving across country and starting a family. I got married, all that stuff happened there. So we've got our wire running up through here, just the stock kind of configuration following this bundle of wires right here. There's one of our main connections. And here's the little bit of slack. I just had doubled it over a couple times, and then we run underneath the tank, same place the other wires go. It pops out right there. Zip tie it probably to those wires right there. Pops out right here, and then device goes right there and charges up. I would say next life lesson would be maybe not enjoy the hard stuff, the hard times, but learn to appreciate the difficult times, because it's the difficult times, it's the struggles, it's the challenges in life that you learn the most from, and that you grow. That's when you really grow, is when you're pushed to your limits and you're really struggling. You know, that's when you make that's when the magic happens right there. All right, we got everything hooked back up nice and neat, and to me, that looks stock. I don't think anyone would be able to tell that that's an aftermarket kind of deal. Wires running up through here, and I've got the deal charging, and it's literally charging the phone that I'm recording this video on right now. And that is fantastic. Tells you the voltage that you got, and so if it's starting to run low and you think you might be burning up too much juice out of your battery, you can just start the motor up and get it charged back up again. Like I was saying, learn to appreciate the difficult rooster. Learn to appreciate the difficult times in life, because that's when you really, really grow. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've grown to enjoy adventure and hardship, because a true adventure is when the difficult stuff starts. It's not an adventure, in my opinion, until it gets challenging, until something goes wrong. My favorite thing is like on motorcycles, right? If I'm riding with a group of guys on motorcycles, I love to ride at the back of the pack, like the last guy. One, because there's less pressure behind you pushing you forward, trying to make you go faster. But two, you get to come across all the problems when guys are broken down or crashed out in the ditch or something like that, or you got a flat tire. It's an opportunity to be creative and think how to solve problems. And I really enjoy the struggles. I love it when it starts raining and it's cold and it's miserable and you're tired and you're hungry and fatigued. And that's one of the big things that draws me to survival in the first place. That's what draws me to challenge myself in these survival experiences and stuff, is because it's that difficulty, it's that hardship, that misery that I really thrive on. And I enjoy the misery of the other people around me. I thrive on the misery of my friends, in a good way, of course, because I know that we're going to come out of it stronger. We're going to come out of it better. And that's why I love adventure, and that's why I love survival. That's what keeps me coming back. Let's put this motorcycle back together. Here's some black silicone outdoor sealant. Let's just squirt a little in there. Just a little. Up and over the tabs. All right, friends, thanks so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. Leave in the comment section for me anything, some words of wisdom that you could potentially offer the rest of us. Something that you've learned to change your life. Thanks so much for watching. Time to get my workout on. See you next time. Too much.